Hello, everyone. This is your guy Sam Hutchins from the It's a Wrap with Reggie and Sam podcast. I am broadcasting live from my second mom's house, Gladys Mack Hutchins, on 16165 James Albert Avenue. Today's topic subject is going to be about a discussion between some 20 to 30-year-olds about this generational gap that seems to be widening with us. And I wanted to come on and talk with them about what it is that my generation, and I guess I wanted to say the ones that were born in 1960 and above, that we don't understand about them. We're trying to get to understanding what is it that we can do to help them to understand what it is that they don't understand about us. And I'm going to have a couple of people are going to come on. I'm hoping some people that will join me live. Debrecia Lyles, very insightful young lady, and a friend of mine who co-hosts this thing, Reginald Rutledge, who's supposed to be on here. And we're just gonna have a discussion, an honest discussion about what it is that we're supposed to be, what it is that we need to understand. And hang on a second, you ready? Can you come this way? We got a makeshift studio here, so it's gonna take us a little while to get acclimated, but we are here. Make sure yeah, there you go.
Okay, so how do you
come? Don't be scared. This is your mic right here. I already checked the level, so you should be. So you should be good. It's a live mic. So whenever you talk, just talking to that mic. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. And that's our live chat. So we're hoping that we'll get some people in the chat that will participate as well. So again, we are back. This is your guy Sam Hutchins from the It's a Wrap with Reggie and Sam podcast. And first up is sort of like a daughter to me. Okay, is that safe to say?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the mic so we make sure with the audio get this. You just sit right there, so right there. Actually, you're bring it back right here so I can see it. I'm still a little rough start here, but we're gonna make sure we see. Okay. Or you can hold it if you want to. Yeah, matter of fact, that might be best if you can hold it. All right, and then like I said, first up is like I said, she's sort of like a daughter to me. Her name is. I'm gonna let her introduce herself and tell us something a little about her. So you tell them who you are, what your name is, and how old are you?
My name is Brianna, and
yeah, make sure
I'm 27.
You wanna give me your zodiac sign? I'm just kidding. You don't have to. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Brianna, again, this is a discussion that we're trying to have. Like I said, we're not trying to play a blame game on somebody. It's just that I've had some conversations with your generation, and then I hear the talk from my generation about what they say about your generation, and I just see a disconnect there. And one of the things I wanted to do was just come on and try to start a conversation between your generation, my generation, and of course there's a generation in between. Because like I said, I was born in 1960. When were you born?
1996.
See, 1996. That's almost almost 40 something years different. So that's two generations in between. And some of the stuff that we see, and my granddad used to always say, you're not seeing anything new, that you're just seeing it over again. And that's true, because some of the stuff that I hear people say about your generation, that was something that I heard about the generation before us saying about ours. But we act like it's new. So what I wanted to start a discussion was, what is it about this generation? What is it about our generation that your generation wants us to understand? And I figured the best way to ask that was to ask somebody from your generation, and you being from the generation. What do you see the biggest thing?
The biggest thing that
Reggie's got the center. You already part of the what's called. All you got to do is you're a co-host, but send a request and I'll put you on.
The main thing that we have challenges is we go through more of killing and drugs. And them are the two big ones that people y'all age don't
Being added, Reggie. Say it again.
out on the street than when y'all was coming up and killing. Really, like it's a lot of killing more than it was when y'all was getting brought up. Like we can't even go to a party or even walking down the street or going to a store. It's like it's everywhere. Like usually, like back in the day, I hear a lot of people say like they could sleep with their doors unlocked. Like now, we can't even sleep with the doors unlocked
Yeah.
now because you never know what's going on. Like you never know if somebody's gonna come to your house or you just never know now.
Reggie, what do you think? You want to speak? You want to say something on that?
I'm not, but
What's going on, Adam? Thanks for watching, man.
yeah, Sam, there was drugs out there when we were coming up.
Yeah, and what she was saying is that there are more. Seems like.
Ah, you think so? I mean, I'm just chiming in, but do you think so? Because
Well,
remember we had
myself, I don't think there's the same type of drugs. So some of them are what they call making a comeback. Heroin's making a comeback. I had no idea it was so prevalent as it is. But then you got methamphetamines. But this thing with fentanyl,
yeah, you're right,
all
you're
of
right. Yeah,
that, and the thing of it
right.
is,
She's right.
it's so
She's right.
accessible. That's the
Right.
thing.
She's
I
right.
mean, it was more of an undercover thing and I never got really too much involved in the drug scene because I never
Right.
did, because I didn't do drugs, but I hung around people that did drugs. I hung around people that sold drugs, but I never partook of it myself. It's just a personal choice that I made. And the
Right.
one thing that I wanted, and the one thing I wanted to ask Brianna was that why do people make those choices that they make, knowing that that type of drug, especially the fentanyl, will do what it does? Because people are dying from that, and they're your age, and not to get too personal, but there's been a couple of tragedies that have come across me that I know, and they were all about your age, 27, 28 years old, young man in Athens. I'm not going to speak too deep on it. I mean, it's just, I just don't understand the value of life that you guys have, and it is so precious and so valuable. Sometimes it seems from where we stand, and again, this is not a blame game. We just figure out why. It's from our part. It just seems like we don't understand why y'all don't realize how precious and valuable you all are to us. It's not just you have to be you have to see yourself as valuable too, but it is so important for your generation to do well because it speaks about our generation and what we did or didn't do for y'all.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because if we keep saying that generation this generation ain't doing it, that generation ain't doing that, but like I said, what I tell people sometimes when I have this discussion is this generation came from us. They came from us. Hey, Boot Thomas, how you doing? Vivian, good to see you. Thanks for chiming in. Call somebody and tell them we on. If you got something you want to say, by all means, stick it. By all means, say it. And I posted something on Facebook the other day. Like I always share, and my Facebook is not. And people always talk about Facebook and the drama. The drama if you bring the drama. But me, I prefer to stay on the positive side. You're not going to see me going back and forth with somebody about something that they did or said or some political group may have said, but I don't do that. Mine's positive. One of them that I posted, and it got a little bit of a reaction, was that you never stop praying for your children. You never stop praying and giving up on your children. I don't care who they are, what they're going through. It's just not. My mom used to always tell me, she said, you mind from the cradle to the grave. A lot of people used to say, from 18, when you're 18, get out of my house. I'm done with you. My mom wasn't like that. She said, you mind from the cradle to the grave. And that's the kind of moniker I take with my children. I don't care how old they're, because some people will say, well, they're too old, they need to be doing this and they need to be. Sure they do, but until they do, I still feel like that's my responsibility to help them.
And another thing we face, not to cut you off,
No,
it's a lot of like grown people. I'm not gonna say we're not grown, but it's a lot of grown as far as y'all age.
Let's call them elders.
Okay, elders. It's a lot of elders that's trying to act our age. So that's another thing we're challenging. Like we're basically like it's people that's y'all age that act like us. So we don't have really nobody to look up to.
And
because they want to be the friend.
Wow. Rick, what you got to say to that?
Well, she's right. They want to be the friend. And what happens when the uncle and the elders are hanging out with the youth? If I try to say something to you, you're going to say, oh, man, you just like me. You were with me a few minutes ago. Right. So what happens, instead of trying to be the friend, the elder, you want to be their friend, thinking that's going to make it a little better. But a lot of times it doesn't. So when you try to correct them or, for lack of a better word, chastise them or whatever, they'll say, oh man, you just like me. You were just out here with me a few days ago. So that's the problem you can always run into.
Is that a lack of respect for who they are and what they do?
Now there's a lack of respect because we ran together. So if the father is out drinking with the son, if he has to straighten the son out, then the son will say, wait a minute, you were just drinking with me. You were just smoking with me. You were just doing whatever with me.
Right.
So
most of the time we go into clubs and everything else, it's people y'all age is there.
I cannot
in the mix with it.
Right. The old man in the club.
I don't. And get to your point, I remember that when my brother Alex said this one time, and it's probably one of the most profound things he said. We were in a club one night. We were like in our 30s, and there was a guy. He had to be every bit of 50. And I looked at him. My brother Alex looked at him and said, "One thing about it, big bro." He said, You do not want to be the old dude in the club." He said, "Man, what is this dude doing?"
Right.
But why do people think that's cool though? I don't get why. I don't get that.
Like, I'm not saying it's okay, but when it gets to the point where, like he said, when it gets to the point where they want to act like a way around us, and then when they get around other people, or I'm gonna say elderly people around the people their age, they want to talk about us and say we disrespectful and this and that. We look at them like, you was just with us.
Because they're displaying the same behavior that they taught y'all.
Right.
Because they were displaying that same behavior themselves. My whole thing is this though. And you know, on one of these discussions that I had sitting right outside under your Aunt Gladys, who I call her my second mom, her porch. And this is what sparked this interest in my head, and I brought it back to Reggie, and he thought it would be a good idea to do a show on it. I talked to you guys are so smart, but I don't think you realize the opportunities and stuff that are there before you. If you'll apply yourselves, and not to call you guys lazy, because I don't want to call anybody lazy, but I think it's just the fact that you guys, I wish that you guys would do more exploring about your options. Because the first thing, and it's called paying dues. I mean, if you got a goal, you're going to have to pay some dues to get to it. That's just the way it is. Am I right, Reg?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brescia, thank you for watching. I'm about to bring you on. Debray, I'm sorry. I always call her Debrisha. I don't know why. You being added. Thanks so much for being a part of this. Hey, lady.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Have you been listening?
I just joined. I did not get like the notification that you were live, but
okay, I gotta. All right, I gotta get with Facebook on that. Somebody else told me the same thing. But anyway, what we were talking, it'll get to give a summation of what it is that we were talking about. Debrisha. What we were talking about was they got Brianna here, and I was asking her about some of the things that you guys faced, and she was saying that a huge problem. Well, I didn't she say a huge problem. She said a problem is that some of the people my generation are trying to act like they're you guys' age, and they're out there with you guys doing the same thing that y'all are doing, and then turn around and chastise y'all for doing them. Do you see anything like that?
Yeah, I can agree with her on that one.
Wow, really?
That's it.
Well, I guess as Reggie, you used to always like to say, I'm on the scene. So I wasn't on the scene, but you were on the scene and you saw stuff. Because you used to always tell me that, Sam, you ain't on the scene. That's why you don't understand. And I guess I am a little bit disconnected because I traveled in a different circle. Like I said, I stopped going to clubs a long time. I think I actually stopped going to clubs right when at the death of my mom at 29. So I think I may have went to one club since then, but I stopped going around 29. So, and when it's that just blows my mind because I didn't think people did that. I mean, because it's a time and a place for everything, and it's time for you to put away childish things, as they say.
Yeah.
But again, getting back to what I was saying about you, is that when I had that conversation with you out there, I realized then that you guys aren't lazy. I think you guys, and for lack of a better word, and don't mean anything about your intelligence. I think you guys just don't explore enough opportunities. You just take what's in front of you,
Right.
as opposed to exploring to it. Because some of those guys out there, those are businessmen.
Mm-hmm.
But they just don't know how. They don't know what business. I didn't know what business, but I could see the acumen in them,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of ability that they had in them because of the way they thought, the thought process. You know how they broke down stuff, and I'm like, that's a smart human being right there. But you would think he wasn't. Debris, you're gone. Come back, lady. But you would think he wasn't simply because he had a blunt in his mouth, smoking it. You would look at that and say, oh, he's just an old pothead.
Right.
But that day I saw different because I dropped some knowledge on them about some certain stuff, and they were like, whoa, hey, I didn't know that. Wow, I didn't understand that. Really, how do you do that? How do you get into that? And yes, I'm going to plug one of our programs that we're starting with the Hope for Xavier Foundation. It's called the My Dream I Can Award. And what I'm hoping to do is get enough people volunteered and dedicated enough to it. I want to create a partnership with somebody like Lanier Tech and some of these other businesses around here about apprenticeship. Because a lot of times what happens, and I had this conversation with Miss Lyles. She's gone now. I hope she comes back.
She said she was kicked off.
I didn't kick you out. Come back. Send another request. Come back. But anyway, the partnership, because when you turn like 18, and like you and I were talking off camera before we got on, one of the things that we talked about was when you're 18 years old, you think you got the world figured out because you spent 15, 16, 17. I can't wait to get out of my parents' house and get my own place and do my own thing. You said that. We all said that. But then when we got out there and realized that bills come every 30 days, okay. Okay. So she done turned into my technical advisor here too. So, but what I'm saying is that when you turn 18 and you figure out that you don't have it figured out because the plan that you had wasn't really a plan. And you said, well, I'm just going to get me a nice car. Or I'm going to get me a bed, or get me a nice crib so we can, I can do whatever I want to and yada, yada, yada. But now you're 22, 23 years old and you done had like 9 different jobs and you realize how important stability is, which is what your parents were providing for you all that time.
Well, I'm going to speak from my generation.
Okay, that's what I want to hear.
As far as you saying that we're lazy, it is that we're lazy. Like it's not another word you can actually say. Not to say we don't have potential, but we are lazy. And I'm speaking for myself because me being 27 now, and I'm just like starting to get myself together and everything else, and it's just something that gotta click. Like for me, it just something had to click. Like,
and what was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Just you don't have nobody. Like you don't have nobody but yourself. You gotta make sure you're good at the end of the day. Like nobody has your back like you have your own back. So it's just something that has to click that says either I'm going to do this and going to keep on falling back into the same trap, or I'm going to make a difference.
It's not, and correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm hearing is like it's almost rock bottom for a crack addict. It's different for everybody. At some point, they get to the point they say, you know what, that's enough.
Right.
And that's what it is. So you have to. But how do you get to them? Because let me come back to you, Miss Lyles. And again, student our own horn on the Hope for Xavier Foundation. This was our first winner of the Wonderland Nate Emerson Thompson Memorial Award, and she is doing very well. Did you ever come to it because you seem to be on the right track, and you don't realize it in some regard, but you're a trailblazer and you're an inspiration for a lot of people. Did it ever come to did you ever have that moment that she's talking about where something has to click?
I think for me, things were like a little different. I think I kind of limited myself to one goal, and that's what I stuck to achieve. But like once I realized that there were different avenues of life. So for a while, I was stuck on being a teacher. And once I realized I kind of like fallen out of love with becoming a teacher, I was kind of in a stuck moment of like, where do I go now? What do I do? In that aspect. So I definitely think we set limitations on ourselves. And when those
Absolutely.
things don't happen, you get in that stuck moment of what is next? Where do I go from here? And again, I can only speak for myself that I put certain limitations of, okay, I only want to be a teacher, but there's so many other different avenues and different careers and different things out there that you can get into, to just broaden, your variety of fields and whatever that you want to do in the future.
Well, yeah, and a lot of things. A lot of times, I think it does have something to do with how do you value yourself. What do you see yourself? What is it that you want to do? Because one thing I do when I talk to young people, because the first thing they want to do, they look at how much money can they make, and then like I said, if you chasing money, you're gonna be a slave. You're just a modern day slave. But
yeah, I can agree with that
because
too, and I think
go ahead.
I think a lot of times, like, I'm usually the youngest in a lot of my jobs that I've had.
Yeah.
And it becomes intimidating sometimes. So I think a lot of our generation is afraid to ask questions. We're afraid to sit at those big tables with people who know a little bit more than we do. But I use that as an empowering moment. If I can sit at a table with a bunch of people who has a little bit more knowledge than what I have, then I can use that knowledge that they're going to share to kind of order my footsteps of the direction I want to go. So I think our generation is just a little afraid to ask those questions or afraid to be in those uncomfortable situations. But I do think those uncomfortable situations is what helps you get to your next blessings.
Wow. Reggie, what do you think
Well,
about that?
Sam, it's like you used to tell me, several months ago or several years ago, if you only see yourself in this place, you won't progress. And for many people, they only see themselves here. They don't see themselves progressing. So therefore, well, I just see myself right here. I'm good with this. And then they'll accept that. And sometimes that comes into play too. But you have to see yourself beyond where you are to get to the next step.
Yeah, I remember telling you that. Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing that I wanted them to see, because when I had that conversation with you, Brian, with you guys out there, TJ Thurman, who I still think it's not too late for him, and I don't never think it's too late. My granddad used to always say, if you're not dead, it's not too late. But my turn is to say it ain't late, but it's getting late. It ain't too late, but it's getting late. That's what I always like to say. It ain't. But my thing is this: I think what happens with the younger generation now, and again, Miss Lyles and Brianna, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you guys get to a temporary situation and it turns into something permanent, and you wind up being there 20 years in a temporary position. You see what I'm saying? You can think, if I can just get that, not thinking about it, if I can get that, then I can get this. You just say, if I can get that, I'll be good. You see what I'm saying? And I think it's a lot of that goes on in your generation, because back when what happened to me when I started working, I went to college at Albany State on a track scholarship. And one of the worst things that could have happened to me was I came home and I got a job making, and then you have to understand, this is 1982, working at a place called Darfo Packaging, and I'm making almost $30,000 a year because I'm working a ton of overtime. I didn't go back to college because I'm like, well, that's all you want to do, to go to college. And it was the people that are around me that influenced me, because these are the people that cared about me. But they were caring about me from a place that they knew. You see what I'm saying? Well, you got a good job, you can do anything, and you got to. And I'm 20 years old. I'm 20 years old. I got my own apartment. I'm driving my own car. And I'm thinking, this is the life. But as I was going at that job, and people started having conversations with me, and people would always ask me, what are you doing working in a place like this? And I said, what are you talking about? They were like, you got too much in that head to be working in a factory like this. But I wasn't hearing that. You see what I'm saying? Cause
Right.
I'm getting paid on Thursday. I'm going to the men's clothing shop and I'm finna buy me like 2 or 3 suits.
Right.
I'm finna go to the club. I didn't drink, so all I had to do was pay to get in. But I'm finna, but I'm living for the weekend. Okay. But then when I got like 35 and people were still asking me that question started to hurt because I realized then I'm like, you done messed up. You have thrown your life away chasing money. And my passion has always been to help people. I've always, and I don't know what it is for me. I guess you could even, for lack of a better word, you could call it like a drug. When I actually help somebody and it really benefits them and gets them to another level, I just get such a feeling from that.
Right.
And not realizing that was my passion, and that was what I should have been. That's what I should have been focusing on. But I was worried about making money, and of course, like we say, life happens. I'm 27 now. I got my first child, so now it's not about me anymore. It's about my children. Right. And then of course, more children come, more responsibility comes, and if you any kind of man, you accept those responsibility head on. You don't compromise. Right. You realize then now because at that time I became third. It was God first, my children were second, and I was third. And it's real because when I was 14, I read a book called I Am Third, and that was what it was about, the sacrifices that you make for the people who you love. And so that's what I'm getting back to when you're chasing your passion. And I think, Ms. Lyles, I think that's one thing I love about you is that you went after your passion, and you didn't know where your passion was going to lead you, but you followed it, and you followed it and you realized that there are more opportunities than what you imagine. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes, definitely so. I think, like, again, once I realized that there was so much more out there to serve people and just do still some of the same things that I love, just not in the capacity of a teacher. Just really broaden my my mindset and my perspective and help me just order a plan and that I want for myself and to continue to achieve those things that I had set for myself.
Wow. Okay. Red, you want to chime in on that?
No, but she's correct. If you have a vision and you see yourself past where you are,
hey Patty, how you
you're
doing?
always going to be able to do better. Yes, sir.
And again, I just want to understand what it is about your generation that keeps making these fatal decisions. I mean, these decisions that wind up where your life is in the balance. And because, and to get back to the fentanyl thing,
But Sam, real quick, Sam, it goes back to what we were saying. They don't see themselves. Remember, a lot of those guys said, "Man, I didn't think I'd make it past 21. I didn't think I'd make it past here." So that's the mindset that you're dealing with. So they're already saying, "Man, I didn't see myself making it this way."
How do we get them past? How do we get them past that? I'm gonna ask you, Brianna. How do we get you guys past that? Thinking your life expectancy. Like I'm a candidate to live forever. I pray to God sometimes if you're gonna let anybody live forever, let it be me. But what I'm saying is there are certain things that happen that you're not gonna have a life expectancy. But that's something like a chronic illness or something like that that's supposed to take you out of here.
They're looking around, Sam, and they see the news and they see social media and they see the quote unquote, for lack of a better term, they see the rappers. And they don't make it past 21, 22. So they feel this is my goal.
But
21, 22. They don't see when we were coming up, we knew Mr. Little Man or Miss So-and-so or Mama So-and-so. We knew those folk. We saw elderly. They don't see that. They turn on the news, they turn on this, and they see they see this and they see people that don't make it past 21, 22. They see the Tupac, the Biggie. Man, they didn't make it. And then they start putting their life in that in that box, and that's what they start to look at.
Where is
They
that?
don't see elderly.
This, but
See,
again,
they don't see a lot of elderly people. You
that's a
see what
dis,
I mean? Really?
that's a disconnect that I don't get,
Right.
because we see that too. We saw stuff like that too. We saw
But
plane
Sam,
crashes and all this other stuff.
we saw a lot of elderly people.
Yeah,
We saw
we
Miss So
did
and
see more
So.
old people. I will say that.
Yeah, we saw Miss So and So. We saw Miss Such and Such.
Yeah, like I mean, to bring it home
They
around here, we
did-
saw Dickie Boy and Patty Ann
Right.
and Charlie
Right.
Lattimore.
We saw Mr.
We saw
Little
all
Man.
of them.
We saw this. They didn't see that. They don't see that. We saw grandfather and grandmother and old aunt. They don't see that. And now all their friends are gone. They don't get a chance to see that. So you have to get past, like you said, you have to get past the disconnect. We saw the old man. We saw the elderly woman.
And
they never
that's
saw
how.
that.
And then we didn't even grow up and seeing them. I guess we really didn't realize how important that was.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because I just had a, that just came to me. Thank you for sharing that, Rick. I never even realized that, because is that something that you think is missing too, that we don't see? Y'all don't see a lot of old people?
Yeah, back to what I was saying, like when we walk into clubs, we see more of your age than our age most of the time. Then we have a lot of, like, as far as girls, we have a lot of people your age and older trying to talk to us, like people that we grew up around trying to talk to us. Like,
that's a whole nother podcast. I'm sorry, that is a sickness to me. And Reggie, to me, I'm sorry.
Sam, we got those stories about granddaddy and my uncle. We got those stories. These young folks don't have that now. They don't have a granddaddy story to tell. They don't have, see, uncle is locked up. Uncle's locked up in jail. They don't have an uncle story. They don't have a story of, I went to stay with my grandfather, grandmother during the summer. They don't have that. You see what I mean? So therefore, they don't have that backstory. We did.
Wow.
All their uncles now, uncles and cousins, everybody's locked up.
Wow. Miss Blau, you got anything to say about that?
No, not on that topic.
Well, again, I'm still having a hard time on this. What is it that we can do? Because when we see young people, and like I said, we quick to cast everybody in the same net, and it's not true. But like I said, I talked to some of the most intelligent young men you that was want to speak. What's their IQ and all this other? It's not nothing about their IQ. It's about their ability to adapt the ideas that are going around in their head, but they don't have a source or understand how it is. What can get me to where it is I want to be? But again, I think it comes from looking within yourself and tell you what makes you happy. And you can't be, because a lot of times you want something because somebody else got it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I want a nice car because so-and-so got a nice car. But that nice car might be bringing them down to I don't know how they're going to take care of it and giving them all kind of headache, but they seem to be happy when they see it. And like I said, and Reggie, I mean, you can speak to this because this is how this podcast was born. The guys at work talking to me and you, because we were of the older ones that were there, and there would be some 20-something-year-olds. And like you said, one day, you heard some guys in the rack talking, and one of them said, "You need to go talk to Mr. Sam." And I didn't even know, that guy from Adam,
because they never had anybody to talk to. They never had anybody to show them a little.
You froze on me, Reggie. You still there? You froze on me. But like I said, that was how this podcast was born.
Some young people did something.
A lot of the younger guys.
Nobody in the car thought that might be crazy or that might be wrong.
Yeah. Something going on with your connection. I read your freezing.
Hey, you got me?
Yeah, you back now? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. You got me, Sam?
Yeah, go ahead and say that again, because we missed about half of that.
Well, their minds aren't developed. So you're dealing with an undeveloped mind. So up until that point, they just out there. They're all over the place. So you're dealing with
Yeah.
an undeveloped mind trying to live.
Well, is it?
And they have no
Do you think?
clue.
Is
They
there
have no
anything
clue.
that we could put in place that could bridge that, develop that mind to where they would consider more possibilities? Because you and I, well, I don't have no scientific data in front of me or nothing like that. But once you get out there and you 20, 21, 22 years old, it ain't happening for you like you wanted it to happen. Criminology becomes an option for you.
Yeah, but see, social media's got you thinking, well, I need to have this. I should be doing this. I should be doing that.
Yeah,
So therefore, again, you need that quick money. You need that quick outlet. See,
and the consequence.
slow money is show money, but they don't understand that. They need it right then. So therefore, there's nobody there to guide them. We're really talking about guidance. We're really talking about being there. And then even if you do a foundation or a camp or whatever, you only got them for a week. They got 50 more weeks of terror and misunderstanding that's left. And all that goes away because they go back to the same environment.
And we don't give them nothing to take back with it, do we?
Well, what we get them is ate up as soon as they get back in that environment. So now that I got this, I got it, I understand it. Oh man, but I'm still back over here in this hole.
And they don't see themselves past that.
Huh?
And you saying that they can't see themselves past that?
They can't see past that because they go back to it. Because you're not going to get them again until the next summer or to the next camp. And the little $25 or the $10 you give them, that's not going to carry them any kind of way because they want something else. They want to shine. And they don't know how to shine. They don't know what it takes. Yeah. This thing is serious out here, man.
And it is. And my whole thing is, a little feedback. Sorry about that. And my whole thing is, again, I think it gets back to the younger generation needs to just value themselves more because again, they're valuable to me. Because I love to see, Miss Lives, you're such a shining light. But I would love to see more like you. You know, not necessarily doing what you do, but what I'm saying is your philosophy on life is a recipe for success. And I think a lot of that came from you really believing in yourself, even when it seemed like it's got to be hard sometimes, especially when it doesn't go your way for a while. But you got to keep believing in yourself, and sometimes you just can't reach within yourself and do that. Is that something? Am I on the right track?
Yeah, I think you definitely have to have a support. You have to have a support, whether that's family, friends, or just the support that you've made. I have a lot of support that I've made during my time working with the school system and now as a social worker. So I have different, just different people I lean on for different types of support as well. And just asking those tough questions. And I think each person has to take a dive and figure out what is your purpose. God put me here for a purpose, but what is my purpose? Why am I here? And I think once we figure out our purpose, or at least the niche that you're on, then you can work towards that success. And you have to want to get out. You have to want to make a change. You have to want to make a difference. And you have to realize that making that difference is not going to be pretty and easy. So you have to want to go through that tough time of whatever it may be to make that difference or make that change in your life. And that may be leaving some friends behind. That may be leaving some family behind. That may be being on your own alone for a little bit. But I think just really finding your purpose and what you want to do.
Yeah, because I think finding your purpose is part of your journey when it comes to God. But your purpose is so much more than. But some people don't see that. They see their purpose as, well, my purpose is to make money. And how shallow is that? And that doesn't make for. And if having money is the basis for your happiness, then guess what what's gonna happen when you don't have money.
Right.
You're not gonna be happy, and then your whole train of thought turns into something else.
Back to what
Yeah,
the Brazier was saying about she had a goal, like coming through school
yeah.
and everything else. See me, I didn't have a goal like coming through school.
Mhm.
Yes, I finished school and everything else, but I didn't have like something that I wanted to do. You know, she wanted to be a teacher, so I didn't really have like a goal. So it's like when I got out of school, I didn't go to college. You know, I was just
Yeah.
stuck working for a minute, like just working
Regular
warehouse
job.
jobs. Yeah, and so now that I found something that I actually like to do, it might take people a little longer than others.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and to your point, like I said, when I dropped out of school at Albany State, and because of when I lost my job and basically lost everything, I went back to school and finished up my criminal justice degree. But I'm 48 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But it was an accomplishment that I was proud of, and it was something I just shared with some of the people that were there with the journey. And Reggie was one of the people that when we started working at Safe Light, I had like one more like a year and a half to go. And when I did get that, when I did graduate and had that degree, I'm 40 again. I'm 50. I was 48 years old when I finished it. Oh no, take it back. I was 51 when I finished it.
Mm-hmm.
But and a lot of people may look at it. What in the world is a 51-year-old man going to do with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice? But it was about the accomplishment for me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was to be able to say that, that I did get a college degree. Of course, I couldn't get a job because I didn't have this experience and all the other stuff. And I'm 50-something years old. However, but that still doesn't. And getting back to what Ms. Lyles was saying about the support and the people that supported me while I was in the school. I was drawing unemployment, couldn't find a job. And this was 2008. I think 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, was Miss Gladys. Gladys, I mean, when I got my grades, I'll never forget it. It was so funny because I used to print them out and bring and show it to her. She took one and posted it up on her refrigerator over there, like I was a little 10-year-old. But she don't realize how proud I was to be able to do that. She posted my grade up there like that, and she kept telling me that I could. And my brother Dale, he was calling me and telling me, to keep going, that I could do it, and I did that. But said all that to say, it's about support. And that was one of the things. Another reason why I got into life coaching. You hadn't really gotten into it. I got my certification, and so I'm looking for young people, to come to me, and I hadn't really started advertising. I advertised a little bit on Facebook, but I want them to come to me so I can help them to set a plan that's geared toward their passion, that's geared past something that they like to do. Because when I was asked to speak at this camp this past summer, 212 camp put on by shout out to Mr. Leland Smith, him and his wife, they put on the camp every year. And one of the things that I try to tell them about is that when you look for what it is that you like, whatever it is you like to do, there's a job for it. And then I don't care what it is. And, I told her I should try to give me some. What did I do? One of the girls said, I like to buy, I like to wear, I like to shop. I said, do you know how much, shoppers make for Bloomingdale's, Macy's? I said, those people, those are 100K jobs up just to shop for them. So they can, so you have, if you got a mindset on fashion and you know what people like and what people don't like on a broad scale, you shop for these stores and they pay you for that. And they say that, and people don't know stuff like that. And like I see people, some of these guys around here love dogs. You see what I'm saying? Bulldogs, pit bulls, whatever. Do you know how much money is in breeding dogs? I mean, that's another 100K plus business. And, I mean, it's stuff like that they go look at, and that was why when we kicked off the My Dream I Can Award. I keep coming back to that because it's something that I'm real passionate about. And Miss Dana Curitin, Billings Curitin, she's supposed to be helping. She is going to help me do it. But like I said, we want to get the apprenticeships with some of the businesses around here because you can make a living, an honest living, being a plumber, being an electrician, being a mechanic. You may want to open up your own restaurant. You can open up your own club. You can open up your own event hall, stuff like that. There are ways, and because people love to party. That's what they like to do, and you know you open up. But again, like the preacher said, there's a lot of opportunities that will come to you if you would just explore. And I just don't understand and I don't like to use that word lazy, but you said that your generation is lazy, because I'm gonna tell you one reason I don't like to use it, because my mom used to have this saying. She would say, "Children are lazy, grown folks are sorry." So that's a difference in that.
Sure.
Miss Miss Lyle, you got anything you want to add to that?
No, no, not at all. I think, just keeping the support for those who need it, but then also realizing it's okay to start late. And sometimes those of us who has this big elaborate plan, it just doesn't go as planned, and that's okay too.
Yeah, and I think it's something that you're always evolving. Am I correct? You're always evolving. You never get to a plateau and say, "Well, this is it." It's you, especially at you guys young age. You're always evolving. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
And say that like Brianna, what is it that you're doing now that you wasn't doing 5 years ago?
Well, I'm a CNA now that I wasn't doing 5 years ago. I started in June, and I'm actually in school to get my CNA license. That's something that I wouldn't have never thought of, like coming up, because I never had a passion for, not saying that I didn't have a passion for helping old people, or, like being there for the older people, but it's just something that I wouldn't have never thought of when I was 22 or 21. But now, that I'm doing it, I love it. Like it's something that actually, like, it makes me happy.
Yeah. Ask for a request, Reggie. That's the only way I can put you back on. Ask for a request. And like you said, when you had that moment, and you were like, when you had that moment, was it something that you said to yourself, "I want something better for myself. I need something more stable.
Yeah.
I need something," because being a CNA is just one step. I mean, there's so much more you can be, with the CNA license. And that was one of the things why I was in such a. Hey, Miss Cooper, how you doing? Good to see you. I see you a world traveler. Every time I look around, you're in some different country, but good to see you. But one of the things that you probably had was like, you looked around and you didn't like what you saw, and you just wanted to see yourself somewhere else and doing something different. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And that was the one thing I wanted when I was having that conversation out there with you guys, ladies and gentlemen. I don't keep calling you guys, but it's that thing. But is that I could understand that I saw that these you guys it's just a lack of not knowing, because you think you don't see past where you are, and it's hard. Because the hood can be so intoxicating. And hey, Miss Emma, how you doing? Good to see you. I hope you're feeling better. I talked with your son. He said that you weren't feeling well, and you tell him I hope he's doing better too as well. But again, thank you for watching on the It's a Wrap with Reggie and Sam podcast. But what I was trying to and getting back to that, you have to have that moment, and I wanted to. My thing is, I want to tell people to search and ask that question earlier. And because, like I said, I didn't ask that question until I was in my 40s. What is it that I really, really want to do? What is it that really, really makes me happy? And again, I get for some reason it's about something about helping people. And I think that's why God blessed me with a special needs child, Xavier. Because he didn't answer it. Because my tolerance that you have to have for having a special needs child, especially with autism, and the other thing, and this, Xavier's, he has seizures and he's nonverbal, but he's such a blessing, and like I said, I shared a story about how he touched this lady in McDonald's, the local McDonald's here, and she just said that she just felt the presence of God when he just grabbed her hand and she just started smiling, and I don't want to call somebody homeless. I guess you call them displaced, for lack of a better term. I guess trying to be politically correct in that regard. And when she said it, she said that I just feel the presence of God when he touched me like that. And it was the guy that was sitting around. He said I was thinking the same thing, and that let me know then that how special my son is and what it is. And Xavier can't talk, but he communicates, and people know who he is. And somebody even said this one time, which I thought was kind of funny. They said he's a local celebrity, and he doesn't even know it. But he's just so genuine in my experience with him. And getting back to what Miss Lyles was saying about the support that he has and what it took. And when he gets back to that old saying about it takes a village, um, everybody on Elm Street knows about Xavier,
Right.
and they took part in being so nice to him and being so understanding when he comes around. Rest in peace, Janice Mack. When the bond that they had
Right.
was just and it was a heart to heart, because Xavier's heart is just pure, and he can spot somebody who really cares about him and they really love him.
Right.
So getting back to what Ms. Lyles was saying about having that support, and I think that's one of the biggest things that Xavier had going for him, is that he had the support of his siblings, so of course his mom, like I said, and anybody that came into my life, been involved with him, they always took that same approach and that support is why Xavier is who he is, and that's why and like I said, try to give him everything in the world that I can as his father. But support is so important, and that was one of the things in when I took on the thing about life coaching. That's what I was thinking, because I started talking to some of these guys at work, and they're like clients, well, potential clients, I guess. Because they come to me with situations that are going on with them, and the insight that I give them. I don't try to judge people, but and like I said, when I say you like a daughter to me, I didn't mean that lightly. I mean, I love you to death, Bri. I mean, and that's something that I think and that's why it's never about whatever whatever you ask me for or ask me to do.
Right.
I'm not going to ask you why you doing it, why you want me to do it. No, because I know you coming to me because it's coming from a place of love, and whatever comes from me is going to come from a place of love. And I just need your generation to understand that place of love that some people are coming from, and the difficulties that we put out there. And one of the things that I was talking with someone about is something like family reunions. That they're not like they used to be because Big Mama gone and all of that. But here's the thing: what Big Mama was trying to get people to understand, probably right before she was leaving, was that I need to transfer this passion to you so we can keep this going. You see what I'm saying? Because the generation before me, they weren't very expressive about love. And when you talk to people my age, that's one of the things that's one of the particulars that they'll say. They'll be like, well, my mama never did tell me she loved me. My dad never did show me that he loved me. I mean, never did tell me that he loved me, but they showed you. And the way they showed you was through the sacrifices that they made so they could make sure that you're okay. And don't get me wrong, there are some stories out there where people didn't do what they were supposed to do when it came to their children. And they had to seek love somewhere else or to seek acceptance somewhere else, and it turned into something else. But the supporting thing that you guys are talking about, and so, and I guess I could call it a little self-promotion a little bit. But if there is somebody out there that is needing something like a life coach, hit me up in my inbox. I got a certification, and I'm trying to do my part, to help bridge this misunderstanding, this disconnect, as I keep calling it, because you'll hear my generation talking about it, but then you'll see somebody like Miss Lyles. You hear my generation say they're not doing this, but then you bring in news like you bring to me, like being said, I am so proud of you. And I haven't told you that, but I'm telling you that I am so proud of you. And you can never give up on people. You can never give up on your children or people that you love. And like I said, my granddad, you had that saying, if you're not dead, it's not too late. But like I say, it's not too late, but it's getting late. But in that regard. And so I think I'm going to do a series on this. I think this is what I'm going to call this part 1, because I was having a conversation with my good friend, Perez Watson, and he wanted to be a part of this too because he had different obligations. Happy birthday, Anthony. They had a birthday party that they had to go to. He said he may try to chime in later if we were still on, but I think we're getting ready to close it out now. And Debris, I miss Debria. Debray. Why do I keep calling you Debria? Are you still there? She maybe don't walk away, but anyway,
Yes,
I want
I
her
am.
to. You hear?
I
Like
am.
I was just saying, we're gonna do Holy feedback. We're going to do a part two because I said Perez Watson wanted to come on and he had something that he wanted to add to this discussion as well.
Okay.
Reggie, just ask for a request to be added on. Hey, Miss Cheryl Gasson, how you doing? Just ask for a request to be added back on because we're getting ready to close it out here in a little bit. Yeah, we're going to do a part two, and I'm going to try to get some ministers in here because one of the things I talked to one of the young ladies at work, her name is Amber, and I told her that I was going to use it from her, and I asked her the same question that I asked, what is it about your generation that I don't get? Part two is a great idea. Thanks, Red. Well, what is it about your generation that we're not getting? I said, what is it that you're, she said, we need, well, one thing she said, the people in my generation, I think Amber's 23, she said they don't understand the importance of lining up spirit with their spirituality with what it is they're doing in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so profound and so deep for somebody 23-year-old to have that kind of perspective. And she said that is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, but she said, my age, but people my age don't think it's important. They don't understand how important it is to be spiritual. The spirituality part has to line up with what it is in life that you're doing. And I thought that was so profound for her to say that. And that's why I asked her if it would be okay if I did say that. Miss Lyles, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree. I know, speaking personally, if I didn't know the Bible and know my worship and things of that I probably would not be here where I am today, or working towards where I eventually want to be for myself, without being spiritually led.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, and it's something that I've said more than once or twice is that you can't be great if you don't believe in something greater than yourself. And the greatest thing in the world is God. The greatest thing is God because there was no God. Without God, there is no world. And people can say what they want to because I spend and I'll be honest and I divulge this. I spent a great part of my life not believing in God. But then I look at Xavier.
Mm-hmm.
The birth of Xavier was, hey, Miss Hill, how you doing? They have done so much for me, and that's why I tell people that saved me because I saw God's work at hand with what Xavier can do with a computer and how, stuff that he's not supposed to be able to do because he's autistic.
Right.
There couldn't have been anybody but God. And so then he combined that with the passion that he had already given me, the compassion and capacity to care about other people. It's not something that everybody has. And I had taken it for granted, but it was more enhanced once Xavier was born and the diagnosis of autism. Hence, it brought forth the Hope for Xavier Foundation. And even before then, I had started to Dream Out Loud 2000. And I didn't have any money in my pocket. All I had was a drive, a desire, and stuff always worked out. I mean, he had a little traveling AAU basketball team that I used to do. And people didn't understand that I was doing that from the seat of my pants. I was drawing unemployment, but somehow, some way, I was always coming up with money for uniforms. So somebody would donate and buy some uniforms, entry fees. Somebody would come in and pay for the entry fees. But that was all God. Hey, you're telling me, and I wasn't realizing it then, but that was God working.
Right.
You're saying, this is what I have been trying to get you to do for all this time. And then when Xavier was born and all that happened, I just prayed to him and I said, I get it. I get it now. I do understand it. And some people, and I know people, they'll say, I remember when you used to do this and you used to do that. And some of it, and that's probably true. But once I found my passion, what it is that I like to do is stop trying to please people, stop trying to do what everybody else wanted to do.
Right.
It just clicked out. It clicked out for me. Like, I'm so proud of where you are right now. And I'm going to be watching you. Like I said, if you need something, I don't know if you call me your uncle or your stepdad or whatever you call me. Stepdad. Yeah. You still say stepdad? Yeah. Okay, because and I wear that with a badge of honor. I wear that as a badge of honor. When somebody calls me their stepdad or this my dad or something like that, especially if they're not my biological child. But like I say, in my heart, you are mine, and that's when you have been for how long now? Since you were 8? This was about 8 years. A long time. But again, I am so proud of you where you are. And Miss Lyles, I cannot, I just hadn't found the right words to describe the inspiration that you become. Like I said, the standard that you set for the Hope for Xavier Foundation and one of the day Emerson Thompson Memorial Award. And this is just going to, and for 110 purpose, this is going to be on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. So if you guys, and I'm trying to get my YouTube subscriptions up so I can just broadcast live from YouTube. Facebook is fine, StreamYard is okay, but I want to get to that money. YouTube, get my YouTube channel. So if you have not done so, please go to YouTube and like, share, and subscribe. It's free. It takes about three seconds. And this has been very riveting. Like I said, the next one we're gonna have one praise, because I think we need to touch on that spiritual part. Because it's something that's so glazed over. And I think, and a couple of the guys that were out there on the porch, they've been baptized since then too. So to get to kind of hone in, so they have some semblance of some idea about what it is that they're supposed to be doing when it comes to a spiritual walk. It's come to your faith and all that good stuff, because it's important. And I would tell anybody it is so very important. So that's going to be the end of it. Reggie, my brother, you are my brother from another mother. Yes, you are. And you're supposed to be here so we can do the plan. But since you are not here, we're going to have to do the, I'm going to get Brianna to do our closing statement. Like at the end of every show, we like to say, it's a wrap. So at the end of every show, Brianna, you take it in for Reggie. So we're going to say, it's a wrap. 1, 2, 3. It's a wrap. Thank you, guys.